civil rights and for everybody. That's a big message that's still going on today. That was the last big one. This is the next one. This is a huge one because this is going to change forever who has what and how it's going to be handled and a whole bunch of different parameters. So I think it's great news, and it's at the end of the day it is the spiritual transformation of just human beings in general, whatever religion you are.
And one comment that struck me as I was speaking to your contact was, and I put it down in quotes.
Right.
And I think it's important as we listen to this. I have not heard your statement yet.
Right.
That he said the usual suspects are not the suspects.
Okay, that means that the people that were on the dark side have now transcended that position and realized that we can't do that anymore. It's like the Star Wars movie. Vader went to the other side. Well, there's a lot of people that have done that.
Well, because they know it's unsustainable and they're going
Correct.
to self-destruct. So there's
That's right.
not like there was a choice. It's
That's
not like
right.
they may have raised
That's
their
right.
hand for this,
That's right.
but they've seen that there is no other option than
And
transformation.
I've lived that for many years because I've had people that have been attorneys, collection agencies, people that have take and collect, and they've heard me, and then they've gone to the other side completely, totally, because they knew they came to a position inside themselves where that just isn't going to work anymore for them or anybody else. So I know that's happening right now all over the world.
Okay. So shall we? Would you like
Yes.
to read this now?
Okay, I will read this verbatim as discussed. It's got quotes from other resources as references, but this is how it has been decided to be put. So, neither banks nor public authorities, or mainstream academics for that matter, calculate the economy's realistic ability to pay, that is, to pay without shrinking the economy. Through their media and think tanks, they have convinced populations that the way to get rich most rapidly is to borrow money to buy real estate, stocks, and bonds rising in price, being inflated by bank credit, and to reverse the past century's progressive taxation of wealth. To put matters bluntly, the results has been junk economics. Its aim is to disable public checks and balances, shifting planning power into the hands of high finance on the claim that this is more efficient than public regulation. Government planning and taxation is accused of being, quote, the road to serfdom, and as if, quote, free markets controlled by bankers given leeway to act recklessly and not planned by special interests in ways that are oligarchic and not democratic. Governments are told to pay bailout debts taken on not to defend countries in military warfare, as in times past, but to benefit the wealthiest layer of the population by shifting its losses on taxpayers. The failure to take the wishes of voters into consideration leaves the resulting national debts on shaky ground, politically and even legally. Debts imposed by fiat, by governments, or foreign financial agencies in the face of strong popular opposition may be as tenuous as those of the Habsburgs and other despots in past times. Lacking popular validation, they may die with the regime that contracted them. New governments may act democratically to subordinate the banking and financial sector to serve the economy, not the other way around. Now that's a quote from Michael Hudson, a former Wall Street economist, and it goes on to say, and continuing, voluminous media reports of ongoing global economic carnage may lead one to take the view that our world does not understand the fundamentals of economics that ancient world leaders such as Hammurabi, Egyptian pharaohs, and even Roman emperors knew very well. The truth is quite simply that debt-based economies, money as debt with all its intrinsic inequality and poverty, is eternally fated for destruction. Ancient despots were anything but humanitarians. Like all despots throughout history, they were driven by self-interest, but did they realize at least that a fair economic system is in everyone's best interest? Given our dire economic circumstances, it is forgivable that we little people despair wiring our hands. The prevailing view of little people is that we are powerless to effect great change. We may feel that we have awoken only enough time to spectate as world leaders stare uncomprehensively and yet another inevitable global collapse. It is not that world leaders or financial leaders and economists, too numerous to even mention, have failed to notice the collapse of the current financial system. In this regard, refer to the comments of Sir Mervyn King, Governor of the Bank of England, and the comments of Stephen Green, HSBC Chairman, and the comments of the Pope, and the very recent comments of President Barack Obama, plus many others. All of these views are from the unique perspective of each individual, but there is a common thread. The comments of Stephen Green are of particular interest. Mr. Green remarks that Milton Friedman was completely wrong. Profit only dash, nothing else matters. But Mr. Green is still compelled to support free market economies. He quotes Sir Winston Churchill, who famously stated, "The market is the worst system of economic and social development, except for all others that have been tried from time to time." So the thought is that although free market capitalism is the very worst system, nothing else works either. Socialism, capitalism, communism all fail. There are no credible working isms then at all. Churchill's comments should be acknowledged by all of us. So what can we do? Can we only create more debt and accelerate the decline? Are we all governments, little individuals, and institutions powerless? It is an institution for the purpose of providing benevolence for all of humanity, regardless of color, worldview, or place on earth. All of this without the creation of debt and without causing harm to interests of others, no matter if they are great or small. All this is known today only by a handful of people throughout the world. It nevertheless exists within a mighty and powerful new system that has been created and managed by little people. It has already begun with little people. Little people are the most powerful force on earth. Mervyn King, Governor of Bank of England, states, "All of the many ways of organizing banking, the worst is the one we have today." And that was a link taken from a website called Positive Money. And there's another excerpt from Stephen Green here as well. American free market economics guru Milton Friedman was wrong to assert that companies should focus on shareholder value above all other considerations. HSBC Chairman Stephen Green declared, "Now, just as there was in Teddy Roosevelt's time, there is a certain crowd in Washington who, for the last few decades, have said, let's respond to the economic challenge with the same